They repeated the same phrase twice. Archangel Michael said that was the signal. Now everything makes sense. It began at a precise hour, 3:33 a.m. on a Wednesday. Not 3:31, not 3:35, but exactly 3:33. The Trinity repeated, the alignment of heaven's frequency striking the earth like a spiritual tuning fork. That hour, when heaven brushes closest to earth, is not chosen randomly. It's the gate where time bends to eternity, where angels are dispatched with whispers too loud for the flesh but clear to the soul. In that moment, at that divinely chosen hour, Archangel Michael stepped through the veil, not with thunder, not with blinding fire, but with silence so sharp it pierced through confusion. And in that silence came a voice. It was not loud, but it echoed in layers, reverberating beyond the ears, into the bones, into the blood. And then it happened. The phrase was spoken once, and then it was spoken again. 2 times. Back to back. Clear. Distinct. Undeniable. And in that repetition, heaven released a signal. You may have dismissed it. You may have thought it coincidence. You may have even shrugged it off, thinking, that's strange, but you didn't know how strange. You didn't know that heaven was testing your ears, testing your spiritual reflexes. Because those who were awake in spirit heard more than just words. They heard a code. They felt a shift. They recognized a signal. That phrase, repeated, wasn't random. It was prophecy in disguise. For in spiritual realms, repetition means confirmation. Repetition is not redundancy. It is reinforcement and alarm, a key unlocking what was sealed. In Scripture, when God speaks twice, as he did to Samuel, as he did in dreams to Pharaoh, it means the thing is established and shall shortly come to pass. Michael didn't speak first. The silence did. And in that silence, your spirit stirred. You were never meant to hear it by accident. You were guided, drawn in by a frequency only your soul could decode. Others heard the same phrase and walked on, but you paused. You questioned. You searched it. You clicked this message. That means it was you who was marked to receive clarification. That means you were the one he spoke about when he said, only those aligned will understand. Heaven said clearly, pay attention. This is how it begins. The unraveling, the revealing, the reversal, the rise. It begins with something small. A phrase, a word, repeated. A signal sent through the cracks of casual conversation, tucked in between daily distractions. But it was a trumpet in disguise. Now that you've heard it, now that you sense the weight of it, the path cannot remain the same. There is no such thing as a small moment when heaven speaks. There is no such thing as coincidence when you are marked. The phrase was the signal. And now everything must be interpreted differently. Archangel Michael appeared not to create fear, but to awaken awareness. Not to bring panic, but to commission purpose. You were not drawn here to be impressed. You were pulled here to be informed, equipped, and aligned. You have crossed the threshold. From this moment forward, you will start noticing the repetition in places you once ignored. Words will echo strangely. Patterns will seem louder. And your discernment will catch what your mind can't explain. This is the beginning of your unraveling, not into confusion, but into calling. You were not meant to hear it, but you did. You were not supposed to feel it, but you did. You were not supposed to know, but heaven insisted. So now you do. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. Archangel Michael is speaking now, not tomorrow. This moment, right now, is the moment you were not just called into, but summoned into. You didn't stumble here. You were spiritually drafted into this time-sensitive encounter. You were magnetized by something deeper than curiosity. The very signal you heard, the phrase that echoed and repeated, wasn't just a whisper in your environment. It was a command in your spirit. The realms are not silent. Heaven is not distant. Archangel Michael speaks now, and the clock has already begun ticking. If you hear the repeated phrase again, don't ignore it. You are being activated in the midst of subtle warfare. What seemed like a passing comment, what appeared like a casual moment, what felt like coincidence was actually a divine appointment cloaked in human words. The phrase that was said, and said again, is being sent again. It is on its way to you even now. And when it comes again, you must not treat it lightly. You must not dismiss it. For to do so would be to close your ears to the trumpet of transformation. In the next 48 hours, your discernment must sharpen. Heaven has entered a countdown. This is not metaphor. This is mandate. Within the next 2 days, there will be another repetition, another phrase, another echo, another coincidence that is actually a code. Your soul must be ready. Your spirit must be alert. Because the second signal will not come to merely confirm, it will come to confront. And only those who have been spiritually sharpened will know how to respond. Only those who heard the first phrase and understood its weight will recognize the second phrase for what it truly is, a doorway. This message is encrypted in spiritual frequency. If you are feeling the stirring in your chest, the heat behind your eyes, the pressure in your thoughts, that is not anxiety. That is alignment. That is your spirit synchronizing with heaven's transmission. Because this message is not built with earthly logic. It is encoded. It is sealed in symbols, whispers, and patterns. It is frequency, and only those vibrating at heaven's resonance can decode it. What others call nonsense, you will call divine clarity. Only those aligned will understand the weight of it. And you, yes, you, were aligned. You wouldn't still be listening otherwise. You wouldn't still be reading, leaning in, trembling slightly under the pressure of this realization. The reason you feel this so deeply is because your soul already knew. You were waiting for confirmation. You were looking for someone to say what your spirit already suspected. And now here it is. This is not a light message. It's a mantle. This is not inspiration. It's instruction. You are not just watching. You are being activated. Everything changes the moment you stop consuming and start perceiving. And right now, perception is turning into purpose. This isn't entertainment. This is enlistment. You are being equipped. This message is not meant to remain in your ears. It must travel into your behavior, your awareness, your prayers, your posture. You are not passive. You are prophetic. You are not a bystander. You are a sent one. You have been marked with divine urgency. This message is not for everyone, but it is for you. You've already sensed the separation. The ones around you didn't hear what you heard. The ones around you didn't flinch when the phrase was repeated. What you did, you heard it. You felt it. You froze for a moment, wondering why it hit you so hard, why it kept echoing in your thoughts hours later. That is the evidence. That is the heavenly fingerprint. What they forgot in seconds, your soul is still digesting. Because you were not chosen to overlook. You were chosen to overcome. You're not losing your mind. You're stepping into your mantle. You're not overthinking. You're overhearing the realm. You're not crazy, you're called. So stand firm now. Let your spirit rise above the fog. Say this aloud wherever you are. I receive divine instructions. I will not ignore the signals, because saying it out loud marks the moment. It tells heaven you're ready. It tells hell you're not deceived. And it tells your soul, I'm listening now. I'm activated. I'm prepared. Because when the phrase comes again, and it will, you won't wonder what it means. You'll know. You won't question what to do. You'll move. You won't hesitate. You'll walk in power. Heaven speaks once. Then heaven speaks twice. The second time is not a reminder. It's a release. You are standing on the edge of spiritual intelligence that will ripple through your life. Not one area will be untouched by this new awareness. What you now hear cannot be unheard. What you now discern cannot be denied. The signal that could have again. And you heard it. Type I am chosen in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. Someone said it, and then said it again. You heard it. And even though they moved on as if it meant nothing, something inside you froze. The moment stretched unnaturally long, like time itself bowed in reverence to what just occurred. And while the person speaking was casual, unaware, almost dismissive, your spirit knew. Your soul died. Your stomach clenched. Your thoughts stuttered. And the world around you, for a brief second, dimmed. That was not coincidence. That was divine interference. You were not reacting emotionally. You were responding spiritually. What happened in that moment wasn't random. It was a rupture in the atmosphere. The phrase they repeated, whether it was 3 words or 5, didn't strike because of how it sounded. It struck because of what it carried. It was coded. It was calculated. And it was released with surgical timing. What they said wasn't just a repetition. It was a revelation. They thought they were speaking casually, but their words were rehearsed, not by their mind, but by the forces behind them. Yes, you sensed it. Don't deny it. Don't minimize it. Don't water it down to your imagination. The phrase was a doorway. The repetition was a spiritual stethoscope. God used it to check your heartbeat, to see if you were awake. And you were. Because your spirit flinched. Your atmosphere shifted. You didn't feel safe anymore, not because someone threatened you, but because something was revealed to you. You started to question. Why did they say that again? You kept hearing the phrase long after the conversation ended. You couldn't shake it. You even tried to ignore it. But every time you pushed it aside, something spiritual pulled it back. That's because heaven didn't want you to forget. That phrase was the signal. That moment with a pivot. The other day you were not meant to comfort you. It was meant to give run. To disrupt the emotional patterns you've been lulled into. To wake you up from relational deception. To call your attention to what has been hiding in plain sight. There is someone around you who have been practicing the art of subtle manipulation. They cloak their intentions behind charm. They laugh at just the right moment. They say what sounds spiritual but feels misaligned. And now, heaven is giving you clarity, not through thunder but through repetition. Through phrase. Through discernment. Your emotions are not betraying you. They are broadcasting divine awareness. Your soul is not confused. It's warning you. You're starting to see the patterns. You're starting to feel the temperature shift. You're starting to question what you used to accept. That's growth. That's awakening. That spiritual lies opening behind the veil. Because here's the truth. Their words may have been smooth, but the atmosphere around them wasn't. And your spirit picked it up. The light inside you interrupted the darkness surrounding them. That's why you felt the discomfort. That's why you can't let it go. Archangel Michael is not sending this message to stir paranoia. He's sending it to confirm what you already know but haven't yet said aloud. There's a mismatch. There's a misalignment. And it's being exposed one phrase at a time. So the next time someone says something that echoes like déjà vu, pause. Hold the moment. Ask the Spirit, what is this revealing? Because what they say twice will tell you everything. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $10. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And don't forget to subscribe for prophetic insight, spiritual guidance, and divine clarity in real time. Type "I am marked by heaven" in the comments if you feel this word. Blessing code 1444 has entered your space. This is not a misunderstanding. Don't let your mind water it down. Don't let politeness bury perception. This moment is not about miscommunication. It's about a divine test. You are being weighed in the realm of spiritual response. You are not just in a season of revelation. You are standing inside a heavenly investigation. Heaven is framing this conflict with clarity. The chaos, the confusion, the mixed signals, they were never accidents. They were strategically allowed to show you what needed to be confronted. Not with rage, not with revenge, but with spiritual insight. With awareness that wins and awakens. Repetition is a weapon in the unseen realm. Yes, a weapon. When darkness wants to plant doubt, it doesn't chow. It repeats. When demonic assignments want to destabilize your peace, they use subtle repetition to chip at your identity, word by word, glance by glance, lie by lie. It's never loud. It's layered. But God uses the same tool for truth. What looked like a coincidence, that was God speaking twice. Once to get your attention, and again to confirm it. When God says something twice, it's a seal. When the enemy does it, it's a trap. You are in between both now, and your reaction determines which door you walk through. You're not under attack randomly. It's targeted. This isn't just life. This isn't just how people are. You've been hand-selected by heaven for a level of clarity that few can carry. That's why the repetition is so loud to you. That's why certain words hit you like arrows. You're not crazy. You're called. God is marking His chosen, not by who prays the loudest, not by who serves the most, but by who notices. Yes, you are marked by what you notice. It's how heaven separates the sensitive from the sleeping. You see what others shrug off. You feel what others dismiss. You hear what others forget. You were born to discern. Now listen. Your reaction right now determines the outcome later. This isn't just about catching deception. It's about responding with divine maturity. It's not about exposing others. It's about walking in spiritual discipline. You were not given this sight to shame anyone. You were given this sight to move wisely, pray effectively, and protect your spirit. God isn't just showing you patterns to stir emotions. He's showing you so you can move in strategy. You are being elevated from passive participant to active prophetic watcher. You are no longer just experiencing life. You are interpreting it. through the Holy Spirit, through the lens of divine patterns. And now, a final truth in this section: repetition reveals. Always, whether it's for righteousness or for ruin, it reveals the hand behind the scenes. And your ability to recognize it is not a curse, it's a crown. Type "I am a divine watcher" if this message pierced you. Blessing code 1221 is circling your mind now. The signal was never meant to end with your awareness. It was meant to lead you into warfare strategy. For when heaven repeats a phrase through the mouth of man, it's not casual, it's calculated. And Archangel Michael has sounded the trumpet again. The atmosphere has shifted, and a confrontation is quietly forming beneath the surface. This is not a metaphor. This is not imagination. This is prophetic reality. Someone near you, whether by blood, business, or proximity, is preparing for a spiritual ambush. And not with weapons of the flesh, but with subtlety, manipulation, and distraction. The phrase you heard wasn't just confirmation. It was intel. It was a leak from heaven to your spirit. It was a classified warning that something is forming in silence, behind doors you can't see, through conversations you haven't heard, but your spirit already detected. Archangel Michael says, within 72 hours, you will hear the phrase again. Not whispered, not muttered, but spoken with weight. This time, it will sound louder, not because they're shouting, but because your discernment has increased. You'll hear it with ears trained by the Holy Spirit. You'll hear it with a spirit armed with awareness. The second time is not just a signal, it is a summons. A confrontation of truth versus manipulation. Light versus falsehood. Authenticity versus agenda. This confrontation is not to destroy you. It is to define you. Because what happens when you hear it again will activate something long buried within you. It will feel familiar, not because of pain, but because it touches something ancient. A calling, a strength, a memory in your DNA from when your soul was first assigned in heaven's scrolls. That's why it will rattle you. That's why your stomach will turn again. But this time, you will not panic. You will position. Heaven says, watch what they repeat. It reveals them. This moment will not come dressed in drama. It will arrive clothed in normalcy. It may happen during a casual conversation, a text message, a phone call, a glance. But the phrase, yes, that phrase will come again. And when it does, your response will either escalate the conflict or activate your protection. This is why you've been given this warning now. This is why your eyes were open before the moment. Because this confrontation is not random. It is divinely timed. The pressure is building in the spirit realm. Do you feel it? The tension in the unseen. The agitation in the air around certain people. That's because spirits are stirred when light awakens. They recognize when someone breaks free from deception. They react when discernment returns. And you, yes, you have reawakened. Your posture has changed. Your silence has become sharper than swords. Do not retaliate. Do not expose. Do not panic. When the phrase comes, breathe slowly. Let it land. Let them finish. Then pause. And in that pause, let heaven speak louder than your emotions. Because you will not be ambushed, you will be aligned. Archangel Michael stands over your space now. Sword drawn, wings extended. He is not just fighting for you. He is preparing you to become untouchable in the realm of deception. Because after this confrontation comes clarity. After this phrase comes power. and those who tried to manipulate you will find themselves exposed by their own repetition. Type "I am ready" in the comments. Blessing code 1717 now shields your hour of testing. Now is not the time to speak, it is time to see. Archangel Michael whispers, not shouts. And in that whisper, he reveals the strategy. Be still. The next 72 hours are sacred. Charge. Covered. You are not to retaliate. You are not to over-explain. You are not to defend yourself. Your greatest weapon now is your restraint. Withdraw. Sit. Listen. The phrase will come again, but when it does, your silence will become your shield. The temptation to respond emotionally will be strong, but heaven says, do not speak to them. Speak to me. Because when you respond to man, you engage flesh. But when you respond to God, you activate the angelic realm. This is not the time for arguments. This is not the moment to prove anything. It is the moment to guard everything. Because your words are weapons, and if used wrongly, they can cut what you're meant to preserve. Michael instructs, say nothing except this: I am guarded by heaven's codes. That declaration alone will realign the realm around you. That phrase, spoken from your lips, activates the codes of divine encryption. You are being hidden, shielded, covered in a layer of spiritual privacy that no demonic force can access. Your silence is not weakness. It is warfare. Your stillness is not surrender. It is strategy. Because when you stay quiet under fire, you do not lose control, you prove dominion. The enemy doesn't know what to do with someone who refuses to be baited. He can't predict silence. He cannot track stillness. And he absolutely cannot penetrate obedience. You are to observe, not absorb. You are to note, not react. You are to hear, and then ascend. This is your proving ground. The silence you maintain now will become the sound of victory later. The restraint you show now will echo as a roar in the spirit. You are not withdrawing from the battle. You are ascending to a vantage point where the battle cannot touch you. Say aloud right now, wherever you are, I am not moved by their repetition. I am moved only by divine instruction. That single sentence dismantles the power of confusion. That confession clears the air around you. Because you're no longer operating from suspicion, you're operating from sacred knowing. No force formed against you shall prosper. That's not poetry. That's protocol. It's a divine legal seal. You are not vulnerable. You are not surrounded. You are secured. Your protection is not in how loudly you fight, but in how faithfully you follow. And right now, heaven says follow these exact instructions. Stay still. Stay quiet. Stay alert. And above all, stay spiritual. Because while they are planning confrontation, you are ascending into consecration. While they are rehearsing the repeated phrase, you are reciting divine promises. While they are preparing to stir confusion, you are walking in unshakable clarity. You are about to see what silence activates. Type I am guarded if you receive this word. Blessing code 9999 now wraps around your stillness. You are not who you used to be. The confusion that clouded your spirit is dissolving. The silence you honored has now birthed discernment. The restraint you showed in secret has crowned you with revelation. You may still feel the weight of the unknown, but heaven has already decreed, you've crossed the threshold. The repeated phrase was not only a signal, it was an activation code. It tested your hearing. It tested your trust. And now, it is unlocking your true spiritual posture. You passed the test. Yes, let that settle in your bones. You passed. Not because you had all the answers, not because you responded perfectly, but because you discerned, because you paused, because your spirit didn't ignore the signal. That alone marked you. That alone proved to heaven that your ears are open, your heart is positioned, and your soul is ready. Now, something sacred begins. The signal was not sent to scare you. It was sent to set you apart. It was not to confuse you. It was to clarify what can no longer be tolerated. You have been elevated in the realm of perception. You are not beneath the chaos. You are above it. Your wings, though unseen, have stretched wide. Your roar, though quiet, has been registered in heaven. You are no longer the one being pursued by fear. You are the one being followed by glory. This isn't about surviving anymore. This is about reigning. What once overwhelmed you now bows before you. What once made you question your worth now becomes fuel for your boldness. The people who tried to confuse you with their repetition, the double-speak, the mixed messages, the spiritual gaslighting, have unknowingly become the triggers for your transformation. They spoke it twice, but God wrote your story. They may have said it to manipulate. They may have repeated it to control. But heaven overruled every word, and now it has been converted into a divine instrument of awakening. You are no longer the same. You don't pray the same. You don't respond the same. You don't even walk into rooms the same. Because now you see. Now you carry. Now you recognize what few others notice. A weight in the air. The shift in tone. The echo behind someone's words. You've been given access to spiritual intelligence, and that is not by accident. It's by alignment. Archangel Michael is not just protecting you. He is standing behind you now, declaring in the spirit. You are commissioned. Not just protected, not just preserved, commissioned. Your life is no longer reactionary. It is prophetic. Every step forward is a response to heaven's assignment. Every phrase you now hear is filtered through your discernment. Every interaction is met with a quiet confidence that you've been set apart. This is the part of the journey where your boldness begins to rise. Not arrogance, not pride, but holy boldness. A posture that refuses to shrink. A voice that refuses to tremble. A stance that refuses to bow to fear. A phrase they repeated twice. That was the enemy's last attempt to distract you. And it failed. Because now, everything makes sense. You are walking into spiritual boldness. Heaven will begin to highlight what needs to be addressed, but you will do so without fear. You'll enter conversations with clarity. You'll respond to situations with supernatural peace. You'll move with authority that doesn't need to shout to be heard. This is your time. Your time to rise. Your time to speak. Your time to reclaim every part of yourself that was buried beneath doubt, insecurity, and confusion. You are rising not because of who doubted you, but because of who called you. And heaven called you through a repeated phrase. If you feel the power in this message and would like to help us create more prophetic content, consider giving a super chat or a super thanks. Even a one-time gift of $5 makes a difference. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, because divine insight like this is released often, and your spirit needs to stay connected. I am empowered in the comments. Blessing code 1010 now surrounds your rise. Now begins the revealing. Everything you've walked through, the phrases you heard, the confusion you carried, the inner battles that no one knew about, have led to this very moment. You are no longer just a listener. You are a receiver. What others missed, you captured. What others called insignificant, you felt in your spirit. And now heaven confirms what you suspected all along. This entire season was meant to unlock your hearing. It was never about the words themselves, it was about what they carried. The repetition was not annoying. It was prophetic. It was God using the ordinary to trigger the extraordinary within you. And now, the revelation is unfolding. This wasn't just a lesson in discernment. It was a revelation of your role. The reason the phrase echoed in your ears long after others forgot it is because you weren't just hearing words, you were receiving a spiritual assignment. God has been training your ears to recognize spiritual shifts. The repetition was your yes moment in disguise. You didn't know it, but heaven took your awareness as agreement. Your name has been spoken here. Yes, let that settle. Your name has been spoken in heavenly places. Not because of perfection, but because of perception. Not because you shouted, but because you listened. When others were distracted, you were discerning. When others dismissed the phrase, you examined it. That qualified you. That marked you. Archangel Michael now stands before you and says, you are the one who noticed. And because you noticed, because you stayed aligned, because you responded with restraint and not reaction, now begins the unveiling. The spiritual fog is lifting. Clarity is flowing. You will begin to hear things you once missed. You will begin to see confirmations in unexpected places. You will hear conversations that align perfectly with what God has already whispered to you in secret. Patterns will repeat, but now, they'll no longer confuse you. They'll confirm you. You are walking into prophetic clarity. You are entering the season of divine instructions. And nothing around you will remain the same. Now begins the revealing. Hidden motives will surface. Silent manipulators will be exposed. Quiet battles that drained your strength will suddenly shift as truth rises. You'll recognize people by their phrases. You'll sense danger in familiar voices. And you will move with authority, not anxiety. This was never about just hearing a repeated phrase. This was about recognizing your spiritual radar. And now, it's fully activated. So take this moment and declare, I move in prophetic clarity. I no longer guess. I discern. If this revelation has blessed your spirit, and you wish to keep this prophetic well flowing, consider dropping a super sticker or joining through memberships. Gifts of $20 help us create more divine messages just like this. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And subscribe to this channel for more timely prophetic releases, because your next word is closer than you think. Type I see clearly in the comments. Blessing code 3344 is flowing into your vision now. Declare this now. Right where you are. I respond to divine signals only. That single confession will clear your atmosphere and reset your alignment. Because now, heaven is watching your next move. Your ears were tested and passed. Your spirit has been marked by the signal. But now comes the moment that truly separates the aware from the activated. You are not just called to discern. You are called to decide. This is not the season to hesitate. This is not the hour to wait for perfect conditions. Heaven has not just shown you patterns to observe. Heaven has been preparing your soul for movement. You must shift. You must act. You must initiate what's been waiting inside you for far too long. Begin your movement now. Speak the assignment. Walk in the posture of someone who has already been approved by heaven's counsel. You're not guessing anymore. You're not hoping anymore. You're knowing. Because every delay you've experienced was the enemy's reaction to your coming release. He sensed it before you did. That's why confusion tried to cloud your voice. That's why hesitation tried to become your identity. But now the lie has lifted. The phrase they repeated didn't just alert you, it aligned you. You've been waiting for the right time. But what if the right time was waiting for you? When you hear the phrase again, and you will, your response must not be hesitation. It must be holy silence, followed by strategic declaration. Heaven is not asking for emotion. It's asking for execution. Not empty affirmations, but real decisions. The kind that shift timelines. The kind that cancel demonic contracts. The kind that echo in the spirit realm and ripple through generations. Destiny does not wait for confusion to end. Destiny moves through confusion. Clarity comes when movement begins. You don't need the full picture. You need obedience. You don't need all the steps. You need the next one. And when you take it, heaven will unlock the next door. God has been waiting on your yes, not in word, but in walk. Not in theory, but in territory. You heard enough. You've prayed enough. And now is the moment to say yes with your feet. Move. Shift. Break away. Step in. Launch. In front. Coast. Begin. And speak. Whatever the next movement is, do it now. Heaven is watching your direction, not your intentions. This is not pressure. This is privilege. You are not being rushed. You are being released. The pressure you feel is the contraction before birthing. The urgency is not fear-based. It is faith-ignited. The phrase came again to force your focus, to command your next step, to remove every other option. You are too anointed to stay where you were. You are too called to remain confused. You are too equipped to walk in delay. The signal you received wasn't random. It was a call to destiny. You must now steward that call with action. Because the enemy thrives in hesitation. He builds strongholds in uncertainty. But your next move, even if small, breaks his grip. Speak this into the atmosphere. I walk in the direction of divine instruction. That is your war cry now. That is your contract with heaven. That is your rejection of stagnancy and your embrace of alignment. You don't need the approval of man. You've already been confirmed by the voice that spoke the earth into existence. You've already been marked. So walk. Move. Decide. Declare. Initiate. Shift. This is not a motivational moment. This is a mandated activation. And those who obey quickly receive favor swiftly. Say yes now, not with words but with movement. Type by step into destiny in the comments. Blessing code 8888 has just entered your direction. While they were repeating phrases in the natural, heaven was echoing something far more significant in the unseen realm. Every repetition you heard, every echo that rattled your thoughts, was a mirror of what was happening in the spirit. The repetition was a reflection. But it wasn't just from them. It was from heaven. And now it must be revealed. There was an exchange, a sacred transaction that occurred while you remained still. You may not have seen it, but your silence activated angelic negotiation. The moment you refused to retaliate, the moment you decided not to speak out of emotion, the moment you withheld your response and chose spiritual posture, something shifted in the heavens. Angels were dispatched. Legal rights in the spirit began to shift. Things that were once held over your life, word curses, generational loops, manipulative cycles, were confronted and challenged in the courtroom of God. While you stayed quiet, heaven was loud. The very phrase they repeated, that phrase which agitated your soul, triggered a chain reaction in the spirit. Heaven did not just listen to your silence. It interpreted it as trust. Your restraint was louder than your reaction. Your posture was permission for heaven to act on your behalf. And now, something that was taken from you, whether through deception, distraction, or demonic interference, is being reclaimed. You didn't even know you lost it. You didn't even know it was stolen. But your spirit did. That unease you felt, that inner tightening, it was not paranoia. It was a signal that something sacred had been touched. Something heaven planted in you had been trespassed. But now, the scales are being balanced. The spiritual negotiations have concluded. Authority that was once drained from you is being returned in full. Archangel Michael was not silent while you were. He stood before the courts of heaven as your witness, as your protector, as your intercessor. He testified to your silence. He testified to your discernment. He spoke of how you heard the phrase and chose stillness over strife. And heaven answered with favor. The verdict was rendered. And now, restoration is in motion. This is not just symbolic. This is legal. Something shifted in your spiritual records. Heaven has marked this season as the season of recovery, not through striving, not through shouting, but through stillness that provoked supernatural exchange. And I'll listen carefully, because the phrase they spoke wasn't only revealing their intent, it was revealing what they carried. And some of those people around you were unknowingly assigned to rob your focus, drain your strength, delay your purpose. But now, heaven has issued a divine reversal. Their phrases have returned to sender. Their plans have been overturned. Their curses have been interrupted by heavenly covenant. You were never defenseless. You were defended in silence. And while they spoke with confidence, the angels recorded every word. Nothing was missed. Not one syllable. Not one motive. Heaven archives every phrase, every tone, every weapon formed in whisper. And now, justice has been set in motion. You are rising not in revenge, but in righteousness. And every silent exchange that took place while you were still is about to manifest in public favor. They will wonder why your peace cannot be shaken. They will question why your doors are opening. But you will know, it was because heaven fought while you kept still. So rest now, not in weakness, but in holy confidence. What was taken is being restored. What was hidden is being revealed. And what was whispered against you is being turned into a public testimony. Type I received divine restoration in the comments. Blessing code 3131 is unfolding in your atmosphere. They thought their words would go unnoticed. They thought what they repeated twice would disappear into the noise. They thought that because no one corrected them, they were covered. But what they didn't know, what they never imagined, was that their repetition triggered divine surveillance. It wasn't the phrase alone. It was the timing of it. It was the tone behind it. And it was your spirit's reaction to it that reached the courts of heaven. When heaven hears something spoken twice, especially in the realm of assignment and deception, it takes notice. That's the spiritual law. In the Old Testament, God would confirm things with repetition. Verily, verily, Samuel, Moses, each repetition was a divine stamp, a call to immediate action. But so it is in reverse. When manipulation is spoken twice, it becomes evidence. When confusion is repeated, it becomes a case. And now, Archangel Michael is announcing, the case is closed. Heaven has ruled. What was said twice will return to them tenfold. Because you are not uncovered. You are not abandoned. You are not invisible. You are heavenly documented. You've been walking with pain in your heart and silence in your mouth, but heaven heard your silence like thunder. And now, the spiritual gavel has struck. Justice is not a vague hope. It is an active response. Divine justice doesn't just balance the scales. It overturns them in your favor. The confusion they planted is now growing in their own yard. The seeds of chaos they tried to hide in your soil have taken root in their own territory. Everything they whispered in darkness is now echoing in the light. Every false agreement, every strategic delay, every counterfeit confirmation, it is all unraveling at the sound of justice. God's justice moves in patterns, holy patterns. And those patterns are moving on your behalf. There is a holy reversal happening. What they planned against you has become the platform for your promotion. What they whispered to shame you has become the testimony that is elevating you. They repeated it twice, but they did realize they activated your vindication. Yes, vindication. Not just emotionally, but spiritually, relationally, financially, prophetically. There are doors opening now because heaven is clearing your name. There are alliances forming now because heaven has shifted the hearts of those once closed. There are divine connections waiting on the other side of your silence because justice has now made a way. Let it be known, you are not forgotten. You are favored. You are not abandoned. You are appointed. You are not delayed. You are being delivered into divine reversal. Every wrong is being addressed. Every injustice is being tallied. Every delay is being recalculated by the hand of God. You may not see it yet, but listen. In the next few days, you will witness something. It might be subtle. It might come through a conversation, an email, a sudden change. But you will feel it in your soul. Justice has arrived. Archangel Michael has been dispatched for such a time as this. He is not just standing over you. He is reclaiming what belongs to you. He is restoring what was stolen in the night. And he is silencing every demonic voice that thought it could speak twice without consequence. If this message resonates with you and your spirit has felt heaven's power in this moment, consider supporting us through a super chat or super thanks. Even a gift of $10 makes a lasting impact in helping us deliver more prophetic truth. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Be sure to subscribe now for ongoing insight and divine updates, as your next word could come sooner than you expect. Type "Justice is mine" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 4114 has been released over your life. And now, child of God, breathe deeply. You heard the phrase. You felt the repetition. You experienced the pause in your spirit, the agitation in your soul. But more importantly, you understood the signal. And that understanding marks you as one of heaven's aligned. Not everyone saw it. Not everyone felt it. What you did, you recognized that the repetition wasn't noise, it was navigation. This means you are aligned. This means you are awakened. This means you are assigned. Assigned not to fear, but to faith. Assigned not to confusion, but to clarity. Assigned not to chaos, but to calling. You are not just a listener. You are a watchman, standing between what is whispered and what is revealed, between what is said in passing and what is declared in prophecy. Today has been marked in heaven as your shift. The angels recorded this very moment. The scrolls in the spirit now carry a new inscription. You have responded. You did not shrink back. You did not ignore the echo. You took the signal seriously. And because of that, heaven has shifted your position. This isn't just a new season. It's a new realm of understanding. Every conversation you have after today will feel different. You'll hear things you didn't notice before. You'll sense motives quicker. You'll catch patterns faster. Not because you are suspicious, but because you are spiritually upgraded. You're no longer just a participant in daily life. You're an interpreter of divine signals. You are not who you were before this word reached you. The doubt you carried has been burned off. The weight of unspoken confusion has been lifted. You are lighter, clearer, jubber, stronger. You are surrounded by angelic presence, covered in divine oil, and clothed in clarity that can't be shaken. So let the final words be spoken not as closure, but as commission. Go forward with your spirit awakened. Go forward knowing you are guarded. Go forward knowing you are guided. You are chosen for moments like this, to interpret the invisible, to catch the code, to shift atmospheres. You are not lost. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are foreordained. Let the affirmation ring from your mouth even now. I am seen. I am safe. I'm chosen. Yes, say it aloud. Those 3 statements cancel every lie ever spoken over you. They silence every phrase that was meant to confuse you. They end the cycle. They birth the new beginning. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. Now rise. Type I am sent in the comments to seal this message. Lesson code 777 is covering your steps from this moment forward.